I think it is safe for me to say that I speak for everyone here when I say thank you to our Vice President for his profound words. The Vice President's extraordinary words of empathy and compassion, and for signaling this new action that the Trump administration is going to take to protect and preserve Christianity and the ancient minority communities in the Middle East is truly profound, is truly strong, is truly wise. And I say it with utmost gratitude in my heart. I thank you, Mr. Vice President, for your leadership. And my friends, I want to thank you as well for inviting me here tonight, and begin with a story that happened to me. I happened to be in the room when Pope Francis was presented a small cross, a Christian crucifix. The crucifix had belonged to a young Syrian man. He had been captured by jihadists, and then he was given a choice: convert or die. And so he chose. He chose his ancient faith tradition. He chose Jesus Christ, and he was beheaded. His mother was able to recover his body and to bury him, and then she fled to Europe and was taken in by the Austrian community. And through a long series of events, I had that humble privilege of being present when the Holy Father was given that cross. That cross, a sign of the martyr for our faith, a sign of the persecuted church, and a sign of so many of our brothers and sisters who have given witness and died. And shortly after that profound moment, at this same summit in 2015, I announced the introduction of a bipartisan resolution in the House of Representatives that named and decried ISIS's atrocities against Christians and Yazidis and other ethnic and Muslim minority traditions as genocide. And last year, the House, as you all are quite aware, spoke with a united voice, and in a historic moment, passed the genocide resolution 393-0. So many of you contributed to that victory, and I want to particularly thank my dear friend, Congresswoman Anna Eshoo from California for her efforts and partnership. 3 days after that unanimous vote, then Secretary of State John Kerry came to the same conclusion, and with the full voice of the United States government declared what was happening as genocide. That decision has also been affirmed in no uncertain terms by Secretary Tillerson, Ambassador Haley, and our White House. And as we just heard from the Vice President, the United States will continue to speak with clarity and moral authority to condemn this violation, this grave violation of life and order. Now, recognizing that the genocide resolution was a start, but only a start, efforts to support victimized communities is both a matter of justice, but also an appropriate strategy. Restoring the once rich, religiously diverse tapestry of the Middle East will create the space for the vital service roles that Christians and others have long provided in building bridges and creating the leaven for peace. As the valiant military campaign against ISIS destroys the so-called caliphate's territorial integrity, what remains of it, but with ISIS preparing to transition into a virtual caliphate, the prevention of future atrocities will require not only merely stopping armed combatants themselves, but also their accessories. And to that end, I am preparing to introduce the Accessories to Genocide Accountability Act, legislation that will identify and punish those who aided and abetted ISIS and its forerunners and their affiliates. I come from the Midwest. It's a long way from the Middle East. I live in Lincoln, Nebraska, which, by the way, is the home to the largest community of Yazidis in the United States. Shortly after ISIS emerged in Iraq, in one of those, perhaps the rawest moment of my time in public service, a group of young men from our Yazidi community came to my office. These young men had earned their citizenship to the United States by serving alongside our troops in Iraq as their translators, putting themselves and their families at grave risk. But now they begged me to act. One of the young men, he quivered with anxiety as he spoke to me. He radiated anger and was on the verge of tears, saying, "There is no more time. ISIS is coming. My mother, my sister, they are trapped." And the United States did act. President Obama began the air campaign against ISIS and saved thousands, tens of thousands of Yazidis who were trapped atop Mount Sinjar in Iraq. And President Trump has accelerated the defeat of ISIS. Now, of course, we all know that a refugee crisis remains, and in certain cases, this necessitates migration. But the greater demand is this. The greater demand is the resecuritization, the revitalization, and the repatriation of the ancient land so that Christians and Yazidis and others can return safely to their homes. As His Beatitude Patriarch John X told me just yesterday, I don't know if he's here. Is he here? You're here. The community is here. As his Beatitude told me, we don't want to leave, nor should the Christians have to. I want to thank all of you here who represent the multiple apostolic communities for your leadership and your courage and your resolve. I want to thank our international partners as well who are striving to help at this difficult time, particularly the Hungarian government who has taken a leadership role in a tough space. And I want to thank the IDC and those of you who support this new and beautiful and powerful ecumenical alliance. Last year, I was on an airplane on my way to Cairo for a state visit and to interact with the Coptic Christian community there. And as I was on the plane, I looked over and there was a priest sitting across the aisle. And so I went to say hello and asked him if he was a Copt. And he said, "No, I'm a Maronite." And we had a conversation about many things. And I confided to him, I said, "I'm considering writing a book and calling it The Last of the Christians." Well, he responded with only as a person in the Middle East could do, with passion and vigor. And he said, "No, it will never be. The Holy Spirit is with us, and He will overcome all evil." God bless you all.